everyone, I'm Brianna and I'm doing my presentation today on child language acquisition and the ways in which children are acquiring language. And basically the reason why I decided to do this is because I have two younger siblings, Madison and Isaiah, and I'm seeing them constantly interacting with technology to the point where it's kind of, not to say it's unhealthy, but like you can tell that they're growing up in a different generation, whereas like we grew up playing outside, they're growing up with tablets in their hand, and I really wanted to know how that affects their language acquisition. And so I'm going off my PowerPoint, so that's why I'm looking down. So whenever you see a toddler, they usually have a tablet or their parents' cell phone in their hand, and like if they don't, they're probably asking for it. Like they want to go on YouTube, Netflix, or they want to play games on somebody's phone. And so a survey that I found said that parents of children aged 2 to 24 months document that by 3 months of age, about 40% of their children are regularly engaging in digital activity, whether that be television, DVDs, videos, like tablets, cell phones, etc. And by 24 months, that percent rises from 40% to 90%. So that just shows you the level of engagement that these children are having with technology at such a young age. And so relating it back to the class topic, there are two really, Professor Dent discussed two existing theories of child language, how children are acquiring language. And there's an innatist approach versus an interactionalist approach. Sorry, I cannot speak. So Chomsky's innatist approach basically says that the capacity to learn language is hardwired in the human brain, and he backs that up by saying that there are two specific parts of the brain that are specifically dedicated to language, and such as the Broca's area and the Wernicke's area. This is opposed by Oxenschefflin's interactionist approach, which says that language acquisition is based on the linguistic environment in which that child is immersed in, and then that also varies from culture to culture. For example, in our culture, we usually engage in dyadic conversations with the children. We are speaking to them and trying to get them to speak back to us, whereas in other cultures, children are observing the interactions that happen between adults and learning language that way. For my interview, I decided to interview my aunt because she has a toddler and they're younger than my brother and sister, so I just wanted to get like a range of like ages because I already know how my brother and sister interact with technology, so I wanted to see how younger kids are interacting with it as well. And so I asked her, in what ways does your child interact with technology? And she said that the ways in which her child is interacting with technology is basically through tablets, TVs, and cell phones. And what she's doing on that is going on Netflix or YouTube and like things of that nature. And I asked her, how do you think technology has had an impact on your child's language acquisition? And from that, she said, like her child is learning how to do things like say her alphabet and know her colors without my aunt having to directly teach her those things. And then, so what I'm trying to get from this is that the standard of language acquisition that we're used to is face-to-face speaking, and then later in life, those things are backed up by things like books, which help us acquire language, and other recorded materials. And children nowadays who are growing up in the digital age, they have access to different like digital things that will help them acquire language at an earlier age in different ways than we are used to. It's not so much face-to-face, it's kind of like face to tablet, but they're still acquiring language and just in a different way basically. And so I went to YouTube and I wanted to like physically see what my younger cousin was seeing on YouTube so I can understand how the ways in which she was learning language. And so basically she's watching things like Ryan's Toy Review. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's a kid that does reviews on toys online. And she's also watching educational videos like nursery rhymes, and then there's also like little songs like Baby Shark, which we all know, and like Daddy Finger. And so she's learning to sing songs and like language that way, kind of like what you would learn in a preschool, but basically on a tablet. And so what I get from that is that kids are still being like socialized and they're still acquiring language, but they're just acquiring it in a different way. So when the kid is watching two people interact in a skit like Ryan, that's kind of like the interactionist approach where a kid is observing two people and having language and they're learning language that way. And then my last point when it comes to like this nursery rhymes and the other educational videos is that kids are being taught through multiple sensory modalities simultaneously. They're not just hearing, but they're seeing, they're touching, because they physically have a tablet in their hand and they're acquiring language that way. And thank you so much for watching my presentation. I would ask questions, but this is online, so leave your comments, I guess. I feel like a YouTuber. All right, bye.